On my video, I just want to say a few words about Bobby the Brain Heenan. I found out on Monday Night Raw that he died. I didn't realize he died on Sunday. Oh, that was a big hit. I've always loved Bobby the Brain Heenan. You don't know what it was like. If someone is from maybe 20 years old or maybe 25 years old, you never saw him in his prime when he worked with Mean Gene Okerlund and Gorilla Monsoon. Guy was just awesome. You love to hate him and you hate to love him. That is the way he was. He was stupid. He was thought-inspiring. He pissed you off beyond no reason. You love to want to see the weasel get nailed. But you cannot deny how entertaining the man was. He wasn't the biggest wrestler in real life. He really wasn't. He was a bit taller than me. But the guy just had charisma beyond no end. He just was that good. He just was. And it's as hard as to say this, be at peace, Bobby. That's the best way I can say it, because what else can you say about a guy who helped define what wrestling is today? He just did. So, Smackdown Live. We got 3 weeks before Hell in a Cell, which I am glad to see Smackdown has Hell in a Cell instead of Raw. But what do we exactly get with this Smackdown going into Hell in a Cell? I don't exactly know. One thing I noticed, having Corey Graves there, again, I'm saying this, no JBL. I didn't hate JBL. I know a lot of people didn't like him much, particularly what happened with Waldo Ronaldo. But I go by performance, not by just what people say and not knowing all sides. I mean, a lot of people know that he was treated badly, Mauro Ronaldo. But I pronounce everybody's name bad. But you know what I mean. There's got to be a little bit more that we don't know. There's always a little bit more than what we know. Of course, JBL fucked with the guy. But there was a little bit more we just didn't know about. So I go by the person's performance. And JBL's performance had been slipping a lot. He just wasn't that exciting. Just raising your voice is not the same as actually being enthusiastic. Now Corey Graves is working 205 Live, I believe still. Working SmackDown and now working Raw along with the pay-per-views, which is a refreshing gift. He just makes the show more refreshing. He's more fun. Now the question is, does he keep working every single day like Michael Cole and burns him? If he burns himself out like Michael Cole has and not has a care about what he does and botches his ass off and not take time off, then this is not going to last very long. I'm just hoping he will take time off periodically and not burn his ass out every day like Michael Cole did, because actually he wasn't bad in the 90s and the early 2000s. Now, opening of the show. I don't normally do openings, but I got to here. You got Shane coming out in about 5 to a 3 minute promo. Beautiful. That's something the WWE does not do. Maybe 5 minutes he did. A max. He said what he needed to say. You mess with my family, then you mess with my dad, I'm condemning you and taking you to Hell in a Cell. Quick, easy, to the point. I'm fine with it. Now, I'm going directly to the man in question, Kevin Owens. He had an interview near the end of the show. What did I think about the interview? Actually, I think it's one of the better interviews that he's cut in quite a while. He hasn't cut great interviews. He isn't bad on the mic. He isn't incredible on the mic. He's usually pretty good with his promos. This one was above average for what he did. Now, I'm sure a lot of people are going to say, well, it wasn't that bad. Actually, it was much better than what he normally does. Because it seems like he had a bit of an interest in it. It seems he was a bit enthusiastic about it. And saying simply, I blame you. Now, of course, that's the only... He's always going to blame Shane for everything. But at least it sounded very coherent. It sounded like it made sense that Shane fucked him. He wants revenge on Shane. He didn't want to hurt his father. And he did because of Shane pissing him off and making him see red. Now, in actuality, in real life, people can get so pissed off at someone that they will take it out on someone else without even realizing it. It actually does happen in real life. That does happen. So this does mirror real life, which I felt was actually good for his segment. Now, here's the matches that made a little no sense. First one. New Day versus the Hype Bros with the Usos by their side. And why are the Usos and the New Day just having a championship match at Hell in a Cell instead of having a Hell in a Cell Tag Team Championship match? Ugh! Oh my gosh! They're missing a beautiful opportunity. Have a real Hell in a Cell match for the Tag Team Championship. Because this is just an ordinary match. Yes, these guys got incredible charisma together. They have great chemistry together. But we've seen it already. Give us something that we can put our teeth into. A Hell in a Cell match with the Tag Team Champions and the Contenders. Something I don't think we've seen ever or have seen in a very long time. I don't remember if there's ever been a Hell in a Cell for the Tag Team Championships. I don't think there has been. So I want to see that. But it's a regular match. And it's again, now this match is about the Hype Bros facing New Day. Now I thought, now you guys tell me below. Didn't you wonder if the Hype Bros are going to break up? They seem to be teasing it. Zack Ryder pissed off at Mojo Rawley. Mojo trying to hold it together. And then when the match is over, New Day wins. And it was a somewhat competitive match. I'm not going to say it was great, but it was okay. You got a backstage segment with the Hype Bros saying that something's got to change now. If it don't change now, this is the end of it. Something's got to change. Now, what does that mean? Are they actually going to push the Hype Bros? Or are they actually trying to tease us they're going to break up? Now, it would be obvious if they did this at Hell in a Cell. Have them do one more match and then break their asses up. Or better yet, at Hell in a Cell, let the Hype Bros change into the Destructive Men or something. Destructive Bros. Or the Brothers of Destruction. I know that's biting off the Kane and the Undertaker. Why not at this stage? Kane isn't going to get mad about it. The Undertaker's not wrestling right now. So why don't you do it? Change them around. The Destroyers. Something. Give us something. Now, we had another match. First you have Aiden English. I like his segments. He reminds me of Elias in his segments. Of course, you got Aiden English doing it a lot longer than Elias on the main roster. Of course, Elias Sampson has been singing, doing stuff like that since NXT, but he's not done it a lot on the main roster until the last few months that he's been there. And Aiden English has been doing it longer. So I see Aiden English a little bit ahead of him. Then you have the Randy Orton and Aiden English match, which was competitive. What? It would have been better if Aiden English had won. But no, we get Aiden English getting beaten with an RKO out of nowhere, which we know it's always everywhere. And then you got Rusev coming down saying, I am disgraced in my country. I'm going to break you. Who said they were going to have a match? Why is Randy Orton being allowed to make a match? Where was Daniel Bryan before the women had their match? That wouldn't have been better? Wouldn't it have been better to have that match at Hell in a Cell? Or at least next week to hype it? And then what do you get? You actually get Rusev beating Randall Keith Orton within a few seconds. What? And I was thinking when this happened, isn't he leaving? And guess what? A few seconds after that, he's saying to the wonderful Renee Young, I won! I won! Now I can go back to Bulgaria. Bulgaria, not Bulgaria. Bulgaria as a hero! What? What? What was the point of this? If Rusev's not leaving, fine, he's going away for a couple of months, he comes back. If Rusev really has not renewed his contract, I think, well, no, not renewed. I think he's asked to be released from his contract. If he's actually leaving, why? Why? This was stupid. It was a waste. Aiden English could have gotten a rub from Randall Keith Orton. He didn't get anything from, what, Sami Zayn? This could have helped him. You could have done something. You could have had a slight program with him. Even if he's got to be killed later. At least give Aiden English an opportunity. But no. This is about Rusev getting over before he leaves the company. Why? Stupid. Stupid. Now, AJ Styles versus Baron Corbin. A match that did not happen, which is now leading into a possible triple threat at Hell in a Cell. I'm sure it has to lead there. It makes the perfect sense. I said this last week when the attack happened after the match between Ty Dillinger and AJ Styles. There was going to be a triple threat at the next pay-per-view. There has to be. Or if it wasn't a pay-per-view, at the next show. And look what happened. No match for Baron Corbin. He beats up on AJ. Then Ty Dillinger beats up on him, hurts him. And then AJ puts a calf crusher on him. And in the end, it goes into the back, whining like a bitch. Which, that upset me. Why would he need to bitch? The guy doesn't need to. I still like him, but at the moment, I don't really want to care. I really like Baron Corbin. But the way they're booking him is like a weak bitch. And I'm getting so frustrated. Just like what happened with Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt was so big, so powerful, and he was here. And then they just dropped him. Gone. And now I don't give a fuck about Bray Wyatt. As much as I still care about him, I don't give a damn about him. As a competitor, it doesn't make a difference. I don't care. And I care at the same time. It's so I feel so confused. And now I'm getting that from Baron Corbin. I am. I just am. Anyway, let's move on to what's next on the agenda. The Dolph Ziggler gimmick. We had Triple H, we had HBK, and we had DX. Now, if it is true that he's leaving the company, I hope he does. I really hope that he's not renewing and he just leaves for a while. The guy's had... Dolph Ziggler made a good amount of money that he could go away for a couple of years and come back. He can go to Lucha Underground, which I actually am really trying to watch the show. I want to say this briefly. I did manage to get the last episode of Lucha Underground, but I'm having a problem watching it because I'm not used to looking at a cinematic show. It's actually irking me a little bit, and I got to get past that. But I am going to watch Lucha Underground for the next couple of weeks, and I'm going to see if I'm ready to do a review on it. So if you guys are waiting to see if I'm going to do a review of Lucha Underground, give me a couple of weeks to try and get into the product. I'll need some time first, because I have to get past that cinematic part. There's a lot of cinematics I'm not used to. I'm used to backstage segments, but not movie segments. It's kind of awkward for me. Anyway, was the segment for Dolph Ziggler good? Well, I'm seeing it in respect. He's trying to get some heat on himself. To a certain extent, it's not working. It's making people interested in him and cheering him because they're seeing something that was done with Damien Sandow. And they were screaming for, guess who? Who do you know? Who do you love? Who left the company years ago and doesn't care about coming generally back unless he's going to make a backstage deal without anyone knowing? And that's CM Punk. People wanted to see that, but he didn't do that. In the end, it's okay. Now, we had... Oh yes, I'm not forgetting about Jinder Mahal. I forgot last week about Jinder. Jinder Mahal segment, which he talked about when it came to Shinsuke Nakamura. They tried to make it funny, but it's like dry laughter when it comes to Jinder Mahal with the Singh brothers. It doesn't mean it isn't funny, but it's like a straight man trying to do a comedic... Jinder Mahal's a straight man. He needs someone to play off of that can make his jokes, even though they're not that great, really feel special. And the Singh brothers are just not that type of guys. So it's like dry humor to me. He just needs someone to prime himself. Like an Abbott to a Costello. A straight guy with a funny guy that makes a straight guy look hilarious. That's what he's missing, and he can't do that with the Singh brothers. Was his segment effective? To a certain extent, yes. He insulted Shinsuke Nakamura, saying pretty much he's going to be the next Miyagi of Karate Kid. Oh my gosh. If you're going to go there, if he's going to try and they were saying you went too far, Not far enough in my case. I would like to see Shinsuke Nakamura say, oh, so you care about me being Mr. Miyagi? Okay. I don't mind being Mr. Miyagi if you're willing to be Mahatma Gandhi. You shrimpy old man who can't get any hair. I know that was a bad joke. It sucked. But if you're going to go there with this, throwing Mr. Miyagi out there as a stereotype Japanese person, then you should do Jinder Mahal as Mahatma Gandhi. Or worse, use the great Khali. If you're going to say that. But I think Mahatma Gandhi would be more insulting. That's just me. Now, let me see if I'm forgetting anything. Okay. Final two parts of the show. One, Daddy's little girl. You got her coming out talking about Rick. Now, I'm personally glad that Ric Flair didn't die. I am so glad he's okay. Knowing that the body, the brain died, and Ric Flair died would have broken my heart so bad. I probably wouldn't do a review for a little bit, or I'd be very upset. So I'm very glad he's alright. He's recovering well. I'm very glad he's okay. But when I saw the segment developing, I knew they were going with Charlotte to try and go after the women's. You see Natalya coming in with that poster, talking about strong women, which I'm not against. I'm not against any woman that's strong. I'm totally happy to see a really strong woman be represented in any field. But when you're promoting really strong women, and it's not due to the fact of the really hard work Charlotte did, it's due to the fact that people are noticing what happened to Rick, and they're wondering what's going to happen with his daughter. And instead of her working hard the last couple of weeks, the last couple of months to really gain the right to go after that title, but they're just going to try and throw it on her because of all the publicity that's going on with her dad being sick. Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, no, they're not doing that. Yes, they are. Because, let's be honest, once Tamina, Naomi, Becky, and Lana came out, you knew Daniel Bryan was coming out, and I felt there was going to be a 6-pack challenge or a 4-pack or whatever at Hell in a Cell. No, he says at the end of the night, we are going to have a fatal 4-way. I knew that she was going to win. Now, I was hoping I was wrong because there are only two people there that make the best sense to try and get the title off of Natalya. It's Naomi or Tamina. Now, I know the people are going to still say, why Tamina? Well, guess what? Tamina's being pushed with Lana. Well, it was being pushed until they weren't showing the women much at all. And they barely showed anything of Lana and Tamina. But it made sense if Tamina had won, even though people would not be able to stand it. And I know Deluxe Man's not going to stand it because he doesn't really give a fuck about Tamina. Now, I'm not mad at Deluxe Man. I understand his point of view. He thinks of her as a jobber. I think of her as a woman who has been jobbing, and other jobbers have been given the opportunity to get the title, not because they're better than her, but because they were given the opportunity. And he's going to have to point out how many women actually got that title that actually had ability, because a lot of them did not have ability. They had great looks, but didn't have great ability. So why can't she get it now? Because if it was the way everyone thinks, Naomi should have never got the title ever. And she now is a 2-time champ. So in the end, I knew Charlotte was going to win, and she did. And she, to my dad. That's what this was about. To her dad. This wasn't about to Charlotte's hard work and determination. This wasn't about to Charlotte's abilities in the ring. This wasn't even about Charlotte's good looks. This was about the publicity of her father. Because they could have built this up over weeks and weeks and weeks. She could have gone to the Titantron and said, I'm with my dad, but I'm telling you right now, I'm coming after you. You could have done that a couple of weeks ahead of time. I mean, you know what I mean. Not trying to mess with her dad. She wasn't going to do anything while her dad was sick. But after her dad was better, you could have waited a couple of weeks. You could have actually let her have the title after Hell in a Cell. You could have built her up before, let her be seen on Hell in a Cell. The next Smackdown, she could have got the title. They could have done this better. They could have built her better. But it's obvious this is for a father, not for her. But this is just my point of view. You guys tell me below how you feel. Have a good day. Have a good night. Peace.